Hello, everybody, and welcome to Closing Out the Week number 10. Yes, number 10. Yes. With the Closers Podcast, I'm your host, Marco Alvarado, as always. Today, as we have been for this month of September, we're going to talk about some football, some fantasy football, and specifically the Closers Podcast Alumni League. Hope you have been following along with that. We just had our first slate of games this past weekend. Really eventful, really awesome weekend, super fun. But before we get into that, of course, we got to do the shameless plugs. Please follow us on Instagram at The Closers Podcast, on Facebook at Closers Podcast. Please give us a like on there. And also, we have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe. It really helps the pod out. And without any further ado, before I fully go into it, for everyone listening, I just played a show, my first show as Downer. As many of you know, I also have a music project, and that's what it's called. Played my first show under it this past weekend at Bart's Fest, which is the event that Bart's House, spearheaded by the man himself, Jib, who was on this podcast, episode 17, I believe, or 18, or 16, I forget. One of those. It was his event. He had me play. Thank you, Jib. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Linda. And all the other Bart's House fam. Connor, Dorian. Everyone that helped put on the event in any way. Any band that played. Anyone who's listening who had anything to do with that event. Thank you so much. It was amazing. And for that to be my first show as Downer means the world to me. Just thank you. I really can't say any more than that. If you have any chance to go to a show at Bart's House, please do it. We had two ex guests of the show stay the entire fest. Maxwell Thogmartin and Chase Lovin, two reoccurring guests on the podcast, and they had a blast. They stayed the entire time. They were so glad they stayed. If you've never been to a house show, just go. Trust me, you will have a great time. That community is the most welcoming community I've ever been a part of, and have had the pleasure of being a part of. So, please do that. So thank you again. It was amazing. And I'm playing tonight, if you're hearing this on Thursday, at the Honey Hive in San Francisco. Doors open at 6:30. Music will probably start right away, and I'm going to be on at like 7. So yeah, if you're in the FFB area, come through. So without any further ado, let's talk about some football games, some fantasy football games. So if you don't remember the lineup of games that were played, if you didn't listen to the podcast last week where Andrew Gale and Chase Lovin came on to break down their predictions for who was going to win, I'll do that for you right now. So I played my team, the Grave Boys, played Shooter McGavin, which is Jason Harms II's team. Uncle Drew, which is Andrew's team, played Indy Win, which is Chase's team. The Gucci Gangsters, which is Evan's team. Evan was on episode 7, I believe. And he played Spencer's Galt Boys. Spencer has yet to come on. I'm working on it. He'll be on eventually. Then my mom's team, who was on Closing Out the Week 2 or 3, she played my dad. Her team's name is Rojo y Oro, and my dad's team name is Jamarcus MVP Rides Again. My dad's name's Ruben, for anybody who's wondering, but I'm probably just going to keep calling him my dad because I don't want to keep saying Ruben. That just feels weird to call my dad Ruben, and my mom Patricia. So mom and dad. And then we got the Stockton Slappers, the OG guests. Quinn Kalani's team took on Wheaties, Thomas's team. Thomas was on the NFL offseason bonanza that we had back at the end of June. It was a great time recording that one. So that's the slate of games right there. And we'll go down the list and I'll tell you who won, and then we'll break down what exactly happened with each game. So we have Grave Boys, my team, and I beat Shooter McGavin pretty decisively with 111.86 points to Shooter McGavin's 89.40 points. Indy Win overtook Uncle Drew. 132.16 points to Andrew's 116.60 points. I wonder what happened. Andrew said he had the best team in the whole league, and he lost by almost 20 points. Funny how it works. Then we have the Gucci Gangsters, who overtook the Gulp Boys with a resounding 140.82 points to Gulp Boys 112.92 points. And then we had this game, the Mom and Dad Bowl. Now, this was a back and forth affair. This was a hard-fought win by my father, but he pulled it out. It was the highest scoring game. My mom got the second highest scoring team and lost for the week. Lost. My dad got 152.74 points, and my mom got 147.62 points. And my dad has Sammy Watkins on his team and benched him and still scored the highest point total in the entire league for the week. Yeah. Crazy. Insane. And then Wheaties, the defending champion Wheaties, they beat the Stockton Slappers, the inaugural champion of the league, by 2 points, basically. It was 123.12 points to the Stockton Slappers, 121.56 points. So I'm not going to spend too much time on my game, just because there's not really much to say other than I'm just surprised how it turned out. Because, let me see. Yeah. Well, yeah. Josh Allen dropped. So I have Josh Allen on my team. Quarterback Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. I thought he was going to do a lot more work in this game. And at first, it looked like it was going to be one of the worst picks of my life. One of the worst decisions to start Josh Allen. But he proved me right in my prediction that he is a very, very, very hit or miss type of quarterback, and he missed entirely in the first half of the game against the Jets, where he turned the ball over, I believe it was 3 times, and then in the second half he only turned it over once, but he finished with about 15 or 16.87 points. I could sit here and talk about every single person, but I'm not going to do that just because we've done that in the past, and it's taken a lot of time. So instead, I'll just do the key points that I've noticed. With this game, me and Jason were neck and neck the entire game. But the thing that changed that was how, let me see. The thing that changed that was my man, Josh Jacobs. Going into Monday, me and Jason were practically tied. Jason had a 1 point advantage or 3 point advantage in our game. I needed Josh Jacobs just to get 30 yards, and he got a lot more than that. So, because of Josh Jacobs, it looks like I beat Jason more decisively than it really is. So, thank you, Josh Jacobs. I appreciate you a lot. You're the man. You look like you're going to be a bell. I hate the term bell cow. I hate the term to use it. You're going to be a feature back in this league for years to come, and I can't wait to see how you're going to represent the Raiders. Please, I hope you don't hold out and you don't do any nonsense. I hope that everything just is cool and you're just the best. But we'll see. So that's how I beat Jason. Jason's highest scoring player on his team was Le'Veon Bell with 23.20 points. And my highest scoring player was Josh Jacobs with 24.30 points. His lowest scoring player was Corey Davis, who got a resounding 0 points. Man, I'm sorry, Jason. That really hurts. That sucks. But hey, my flex only got 1.4 points. Sony Michel only got 1.4 points. So it's not like I did great either this week. I just had the right guy. I got lucky. I mean, that's all fantasy is, but I definitely got lucky this week. Not going to deny it. It's not like I had picked the right guys. It's just how it fell out. He easily could have won if Corey Davis had 2 touchdowns. It would have been done for me. But that didn't happen. So, moving on. Next game is... Yeah, we'll go with Uncle Drew versus Indy Win. This was the featured matchup going into this weekend. And it was pretty boring because Chase kind of took control of this and never let it go. There was a point where they were going back and forth in the beginning of the day, around like 1 p.m. We're actually right around 10 a.m., right when the first game started. It looks like they were going back and forth, but Chase overtook Andrew and never looked back with it. It looks as though Drew did not start Russell Wilson, which was a good move because Drew Brees did better. Let's see. Andrew's highest scoring player was Keenan Leanin' Dreamin' Allen with 27.30 points. His lowest scoring player was Eric Ebron. Actually, no. Well, player was Eric Ebron with 1.80 points. But the Browns defense got 0 points. They got fucked up by the fucking Titans. It's insane. What happened? All the hype. They got straight murdered. It's pretty embarrassing. Chase's most highest scoring player was Marlon Mack. His favorite Colt at this point. I'm pretty sure. Other than Malik Hooker. He got 28.40 points. And his least scoring player was the infamous at this point Adam Vinatieri with 4 points. He did a lot of work this game, but he missed a 40-yarder, which took points off the board for Adam Vinatieri. It's not like it mattered in the long run. Chase's team ran away with this game. Every player other than Adam Vinatieri scored in double digits, and that's kind of how you win in fantasy. You want to get everyone over 10 points at least, and you'll most likely win your game. But you want your quarterback at least 20, and you want at least one of your running backs to hit 20. And that's what happened. So, good for Chase. He starts 1-0, and Andrew starts 0-1. Let's see if Andrew can rebound this next week. We'll preview all the games coming up at the very end. All right, next game. The Gucci Gangstas versus the Galt Boys. Evan versus Spencer. So Evan won this game pretty decisively. There wasn't really any competition. There was a couple moments throughout the day Sunday where it looked like possibly Spencer was coming back. But then Evan also had some players playing, and that was where he just furthered his hold on this game, and it's very evident that that's what it did transpire. Evan's highest scoring player was DeAndre Hopkins with 32.10 points, and his lowest scoring player was his kicker, Brett Maher, which, like kickers, I mean, you don't really have to count them because they're always going to have like kind of low scoring. It's always going to be either defense or kickers. But aside from the kicker, lowest point total was Jared Cook, which I'm surprised by. I really thought Jared Cook would do better in this game, but those Texans linebackers are kind of real, so it makes sense why he didn't do too well. Now, going to Galt Boys, Spencer's team I thought would run away with this game, honestly, but when you have Dalvin Cook and Hopkins and Kyler Murray, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard not to lose with that combination. But Spencer's highest scoring player was Deshaun Watson with 30.72 points. His lowest scoring player, actually, his kicker did really good. He got him 15 points, so his lowest scoring like overall like entity was the Broncos defense, which got him 0 points, and they got their shit kicked in by the Raiders, which is insane. Made me happy. But player-wise, his lowest scoring player was Matt Breida of the Niners. Didn't have a good game. So, all right, let's move to the next one. This is the Mapa Bowl, as I call it. The Ma, because I call my mom Mama, my dad Papa. It's a Mexican thing, just whatever. You can laugh, I don't give a shit. And this was a back and forth game. So my mom started the day on Sunday having the lead on my dad. And she had it basically all day on Sunday, but my dad slowly crept back into this thing. He didn't start Sammy Watkins, so he started off very slow, but he crawled his way back up point total. And come Monday, Will Lutz, his not miracle kick, but his game-winning field goal from like 60 yards out basically saved my dad in this game. It got him like 8 points, and he put this game away, put it on ice, and he beat my mom. Otherwise, my mom would have lost. My mom would have won if he would have missed that kick. It came down to literally that Houston Texans Saints game. If he would have missed that kick, a lot of points would have come off the board, and she would have won because she had Michael Thomas in that game who got her basically there. And that would have pushed my dad's point total down enough for her to win. But Will Lutz made it and got my dad like 8 points, and that was it. So that game really could have gone either way. My dad got super lucky, but hey, he also got lucky that Drew Brees was the quarterback. It's the quarterback for the Saints. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, any other team, I don't think it would have happened. So let's go down and see who scored the most points for each team that started. For my mom, Austin Eckler scored my mom 39.40 points. Wild. Ran wild on the Colts defense. Good for him. I like Austin Eckler. I'm an AFC West opponent, but hey, man, like, I got to give credit where credit's due. Austin Eckler's wild. She also had Mahomes, who had a day against the Jags. Her least scoring player was Kyle Rudolph with 0 points. No tight end love in Minnesota. I'm really surprised. I thought Kirk Cousins loved to throw to Kyle Rudolph, but maybe they have another guy that I'm not sure about. Now, she does have Mark Andrews. Is it Mark Andrews or Mark Edwards? Mark Andrews on her bench. Everyone thought she was crazy for taking Mark Andrews, but hey, look, he scored 25 points. He's the safety net for Deshaun Watson. Makes sense. Hopefully she'll start him next week. Now, my dad, the guy who scored him the most points is Tom Brady with 30.64 points. And the least scoring player, that's not his defense, is Zach Ertz with, he only got a measly 10.40 points. If your worst player, if the player that got you the least points got you over 10 points, you're most likely going to win in the week. Yeah, I mean, that's just how it kind of goes. Everyone kind of went off on his team. Everybody other than the Rams defense got over 10 points, and the Rams defense got him 9 points. Also, what didn't help my mom is the Jags defense took away points from her team. -4 points. Rough. If she would have gotten those 4 points back, would have at least broken even, it would have been 151.62 to my dad's 152.74. It would have been a 1.3 game. 1.30 game. Crazy. And then if Kyle Rudolph would have just caught one pass for no yardage, she would have won. But that's not how the world works, I guess. So they play again later on in the season. We'll see how that goes. But this is definitely a rivalry now. My dad used to always lose to my mom the past couple seasons, and now he's won this game, and I believe he won the last time they played too. So it's definitely a rivalry. The household does get heated, but I love it. It makes the whole weekend more fun. Now the last game, it was rematch of champions. We had the Stockton Slappers against the Wheaties. Quinn's Stockton Slappers, Thomas's Wheaties. And this was an insane game, honestly. Thomas was down by over... He was down at one point close to 100 points. More like 80 points. Then he crawled his way back, and at the very end, won the game by, I believe he started, let me see. Yeah, he didn't even start Darren Waller. That's insane. Oh, it was Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara got him over the top. So I'll say who scored the most points for each team. So for the Stockton Slappers, who did lose this game, the player that did the best for him was Christian McCaffrey with 43.90 points. Wild. The player that did the worst for him, that's not his defense. The one that affected his team the most was Cam Newton. Only got him 5 points, basically. 6 points. That's just sad. Honestly, and he had Zach Ertz on the team. On his bench, he had Larry Fitzgerald on his bench. Sucks. That fucking sucks. Oh, and he had Tyrell Williams. Horrible. That's just a tough loss for Quinn. Poor guy. And now for the winners team, Wheaties. The player that did best for him was Evan Ingram for the Giants. Who would have thought? I didn't think he had that good of a day, honestly. But who else are they going to throw to on that offense? I mean, it makes sense why they would get him the ball all the time. Player that did the worst, was Mike Evans. Yeah. I knew I wasn't a believer in that Tampa Bay offense, man. I just didn't believe that Jameis would get it done, and I was right. I mean, who knows? Maybe, it was just one game. They could come back and win, rattle off 5 in a row, be in the playoff conversation. Maybe that was just an anomaly, but hey, it's not good to start 0-1. It's a pretty important game, actually, when you look statistically. And Mike Evans should have gotten the ball more, but he just disappeared in this game. So, nonetheless, though, Thomas won. Squeaked it out with Alvin Kamara helping him, leading the way. And with that, I will now read the rankings. Who's in first, second, third, all the way through the 10th spot. And then I will go through each game that's coming up. Break them down slightly. And then we'll be done. All right? So, first place, we got... Well, actually, we'll start with 10th place. Last place, we got Jason Harms II. He scored the least amount of points this past week, which is why he's in the last spot, because that's the tiebreaker, how many points you scored. The more points you score, the higher your ranking will be when it comes to tiebreakers. Head-to-head competition does play a factor, but nobody's played each other twice yet, so that's why it doesn't matter for now. So Jason's in the last spot because he only scored 89 points, basically. Then it goes Galt Boys. He's in the 9th spot. Number 8, Uncle Drew. Number 7, Stockton Slappers, Quinn's team. Number 6, Rojo Yoro, my mom's team. Number 5, Grave Boys. I won the game, but I scored the least amount of points, which is why I'm not in the playoff picture. Top 4 seeds in our league make playoffs, but it's only week 2. It's about to be week 2, so I'm fine. Number 4, we got Wheaties. Number 3, we got Chase Lovin's Indy Win. Number 2, we got Evans Gucci Gangstas. And number 1, we got my dad's Jamarcus MVP Forever. Or Jamarcus MVP Rides Again. Sorry. Now, with all that being said, let's take a quick look at these upcoming games. You see? So I'm playing Uncle Drew this week. I saw Andrew today on campus, actually, and he's very confident that he's going to overtake my team. Now, I'm just going to look at exactly who's playing who. These lineups might probably change, but I still like my team just because I feel like that Kansas City defense is not good at all, and Josh Jacobs is going to run wild. So I think that's going to be a lot more of a competitive game than people think. The Oakland Raiders versus Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to be at that game on Sunday. It's going to be fun. I also think that... Let's see. I also think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to do better this week. They have to get him the ball. You can't just trade for a dude like that and then just not throwing the ball. He's going to get to the Jets defense too. I'm not really a believer in the Jets defense just because they're the Jets. Like, sorry, but come on, man. Like, really? Now, I am scared about Keenan Allen against Detroit, he's on Andrew's team. And I am scared about Darren Waller against Kansas City. Other than that, I'm not real. Oh, and you have Mark Ingram too, Drew. And Zeke. But I think I'll be okay. I think I can win. I think there'll be a couple duds on your squad. I'll be fine. Not a believer in Jamison Crowder, so whatever. Probably a dub in my column, but we'll see what happens. Next game. Shooter McGavin versus the Gucci Gangstas. This is a meeting of the number 2 ranked team and the last team ranked right now. Doesn't mean a whole lot because it's only week 2, but still. It looks as though it's projected that Shooter McGavin will overtake Evan's team by 2 points. I think he has a good shot. He's made some improvements to his team. He picked up Marquise Brown, who went off last week, and he also has Le'Veon Bell. He picked up Rex Burkhead. He picked up Ted Ginn Jr. I mean, there's some good pickups he got. He definitely needed to pick up some guys. His team was pretty flawed. So good for Jason. But then again, Evan's team is really looking nice. If DeAndre Hopkins misses a game, then Jason's team most likely will win. But if he plays, I'm probably gonna have to give it to Evan. He also has Cooper Kupp, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, Kyler Murray. He has a really good team. I'd probably give it to Evan, but Jason, I think you have a good shot. Then we got Indy Win versus my mom's team, Rojo y Oro. It looks as though NFL.com is projecting Chase to beat my mom by 5 points. I do like Chase's team this week. However, I'm not a believer in Matt Ryan. Sorry, I'm just not. When it comes to fantasy, I feel like he's very inconsistent, and he's going to probably get picked off like 3 times in this game. Tyler Lockett not participating in practice too, a little sketchy. Do you really trust in Michael Gallup to repeat his performance from last week? I personally don't. Or DJ Moore to do anything? I don't trust that Carolina offense. Or Cortland Sutton against Chicago? Come on, man. No, come on. My mom's team is still nice. She has the same lineup. Mahomes, Chris Carson, Kerryon Johnson, Adam Thielen, Michael Thomas, Kyle Rudolph, Austin Eckler, Justin Tucker, and Jaguars defense. If I were her, I'd most likely put in Mark Andrews instead of Kyle Rudolph. But that's just the only tweak I would do. This is going to be a good game. Really close, I feel like. All these games are going to be really close. There's a lot of parity in this league this season. Feel like no one's going to go undefeated or anything. Like, there's definitely going to be really good teams losing to teams that are worse, and there's going to be a lot of fluctuation in this league. It's going to be really fun to talk about. Then we got Galt Boys against the Stockton Slappers. Galt versus Stockton. And it looks as though NFL.com really likes Stockton to win this game by 3 points. Now, Quinn does have Christian McCaffrey, which helps him out a lot. He's starting Larry Fitzgerald, which is a good thing. And he's also starting Carson Wentz against Atlanta. It's a good decision. I do think Quinn is going to win this game. just because of his additions that he's made. However, Spencer's team still looks formidable. Everybody last week thought that Spencer's team looked really good, and it does. Deshaun Watson, David Johnson, Matt. I just don't know why he's starting Matt Breida, bro. Like, put somebody else in there. Like, seriously, put somebody else in there. I guess Joe Mixon got hurt, so he has no choice, but, like, come on. I have Joe Mixon in another league, too. I gotta look at that shit. Oh, well. He has Juju, Tyler Boyd. It's going to be... Oh, and he has Antonio Brown. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. Fuck that guy, dude. Seriously, like, fuck Antonio Brown. Just like fuck Tyreek Hill, dude. Same thing. I'm not for jumping the gun and not knowing if there's evidence to support whatever claims. But honestly, dude, I don't even care when it comes to Antonio Brown. I'm just done. I'm done. And it would not put it past him to do some crazy, stupid shit like what he is claimed to do. So yeah, I'm going to jump the gun on this, and I'm just going to say, Antonio Brown, go fuck yourself. Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, so I'm not sure who's going to win this game, honestly. I'll probably give it to Quinn just because he has the healthier lineup, and he has the better bench, too. He can go deeper into his bench if guys get hurt. Spencer's team is very starter-heavy. His bench is a little lacking in talent. So, if he has to go into his bench, he's probably going to lose this game. Which it looks like he's going to have to do. Last game of this week, we got Jamarcus MVP rides again against Wheaties. Defending champion Wheaties going up against my dad. And it looks as though they're claiming that Wheaties is going to win this game pretty decisively. About 12 points. He does have a very good team. He has James Conner, Kamara. But, you know, anything could happen in fantasy. I just don't know why they have Kamara scoring so high when he's going against the Rams defense. Pretty good defense, man. They shut him down last year. Mike Evans is most likely going to come alive, who Thomas does have. Because, I mean, come on. Like, you can't shut that guy out 2 weeks in a row. If so, then there's major problems in Tampa. And then on my dad's team, he definitely has to put Sammy Watkins in there. You get him off your bench, put him in, take Calvin Ridley out. He didn't do bad last week, but come on. Tyreek Hill's out. You got to put in Sammy Watkins. It's the truth. He also has Saquon. My dad has Saquon Barkley. So it's going to be a good game. I'm probably going to give this to Thomas just because Evan Ingram against Buffalo, I really like that matchup. And also Harrison Butker against Oakland. It's going to be a high-scoring game. There's going to be field goals kicked. Harrison Butker is the kicker for the Chiefs, so it makes sense as to why he would have a high point total. I really like that matchup too. So I'm probably going to give it to not my dad, Thomas. But it wouldn't surprise me if any of the people that I picked against win because this is so unpredictable. There's not like a surefire bad team this year. It's pretty interesting. Pretty good, actually. Past couple of years, we had two teams that were just shitty. They were just horrible. It was an easy win every time you play them. Like, they didn't set a lineup. Now everyone's competitive, so somewhat competitive. So, yeah, that's been the recap of week 1, preview of week 2 of the Closers Podcast Alumni League. Hopefully you're enjoying these little insights into our fantasy football endeavors. I wasn't able to get a guest on this week, unfortunately. I was trying to, but your boy's really busy. Also, next week, the planned guest, the author of The Cosmic Lore, Elias Garcia, I believe his name is. If that's not his name, I apologize. I'm not next to my phone or anything at the moment to look it up, but he's not going to be able to come on due to some unforeseen, unfortunate circumstances, which I totally understand. We're going to try to get him back on in early November at the earliest to do that podcast we had planned. But next week is kind of up in the air as far as what is going to happen on the podcast. Trying to look for a guest. If not, it might just be me talking for like an hour about something that I know about. And I hope that that's okay with everybody. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. I'm open to really anything. So, yeah. Without any further ado, we'll bid you an adieu. And we'll talk to you next week. Follow the Closer's Podcast Instagram account for updates on the next episode, so you are aware of what's happening for next week. Take care.